In case you didn't know, Kanye West is one of the most acclaimed and decorated musical artists of the 21st century. He's also more than a bit mad. Since rising to public attention in 2004 with his debut studio album The College Dropout, Kanye has sauntered on to further success on each of his subsequent 9 studio albums and achieved renown for several of these. He has sold more than 160 million records and has the 7th highest number of Grammy Awards at 24, amidst a string of other accolades. In fact, Kanye's list of individual awards is so long it has its own hefty Wikipedia page. But that's not the only Wikipedia page attributable to Kanye, because he also has one entitled Views of Kanye West, and in this you'll find neatly catalogued the inexplicable array of rants, monologues, musings, outbursts and reflections that he has conjured up during his 20+ years in the spotlight. And these, despite his undeniable success, now risk reducing his once great career to ruin. Despite the runaway success of his early career, the first time people realised Kanye West was erratic was in 2009 at that year's MTV Video Music Awards in New York. On the night, Kanye stormed the stage as a 19-year-old Taylor Swift accepted an award for her triumph in the Best Female Video category. As Swift began her speech, Kanye whipped the microphone from her hands and declared that it was Beyoncé, not Taylor Swift, who should have won an award for Best Music Video that year. Now, by this time, Kanye had already stirred some minor controversy for himself, owing to a sequence of biting remarks he'd also made on stage in 2005 while guest hosting a benefit concert for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. He deviated from the script and criticised media disinterest in the black victims, as compared to white victims of the hurricane. Kanye concluded with the now infamous quote, "George Bush doesn't care about black people," leading to significant media criticism, but also some support. Well, the latter would not be the case in 2009. His tirade to a stunned Taylor Swift and VMA audience led to nothing but universal outrage. MTV quickly escorted him out of the building, and media figures and fellow musical performers were unanimous in condemning him. He even received the distinction of being labelled a, quote, jackass by then President Barack Obama. Kanye had, ironically, endorsed Obama for the presidency 1 year before, but perhaps even more ironically, he received blistering criticism from none other than one Donald J. Trump, who called on Americans to boycott West's music in response. All of that would be bizarrely relevant, given what was to come in later years. As a curious anecdote, there were some who later pondered if it was in fact something other than a perverse notion of justice and artistic integrity which led to Kanye's loudmouthed deification of Beyoncé. Many later theorized that his actions at the VMAs have been an example of the so-called "thank you Beyoncé" conspiracy in effect. The conspiracy works on the premise that Beyoncé receives an unusual and suspiciously high level of praise and promotion in the entertainment industry, allegedly due to strong industry connections and corporate backing. As such, to be seen to laud her work would be to establish favour in kind with connections in the industry. The theory, therefore, holds that Kanye's outbursts may have been an audacious attempt to secure favourable connections and backing for himself. And it would not be without reason Kanye's 4th studio album, 808s and Heartbreak, had failed to match the success of his previous 3 after having been released the year before the VMAs. But while Kanye's next album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, did perform well at 1.3 million sales, it didn't match the sales even of 808s and Heartbreak at 1.7 million. His following album, Yeezus, did even worse at 750,000. So if his objective had been to curry favour with Beyoncé and the executives backing her, this didn't seem to have exactly worked. But the VMA's blow-up would be mild, at least in comparison with the controversy that was to follow in later years. Among the many items listed on Kanye's endless Wikipedia list of beliefs are his rather inconsistent and often downright chaotic political positions. Kanye's first foray into the American political landscape were his aforementioned comments about George Bush at the Hurricane Katrina relief concert. His comments positioned Kanye favourably as a critic of the government, particularly regarding racial and social justice issues, and this would seem to remain the case for much of the 2000s. Like many from his musical genre, Kanye's political views at the time aligned with liberal and progressive values. His music criticised systemic racism, economic inequality, and police brutality, all of which appeared present present in lyrics from early albums such as 2005's Late Registration and 2007's Graduation, and appeared to continue with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Yeezus. Themes of rebellion and civil unrest were notably visible in the video for Kanye's heralded 2011 song, No Church in the Wild. Kanye publicly supported Barack Obama when he ran for president in 2008, praising him as a leader who represented change for the black community. Only a few years before the 2009 VMAs, Kanye performed at Obama's youth inaugural ball and repeated his praise for the newly inaugurated president during his set. In spite of being called a jackass after the VMAs incident, Kanye donated $1,000 to Obama's re-election campaign in 2012 and $15,000 to the Democratic National Committee 2 years later. And even as late as 2015, he still appeared to be aligned with the Democratic Party, endorsing Hillary Clinton to take over the presidency the following year. But one of Kanye's most surprising political shifts came the following year when he expressed support for Donald Trump, who ultimately beat Clinton to the 2016 presidential election. In yet another concert rant in 2016, Kanye revealed he would have voted for Trump if he had voted at all. Following Trump's election in 2018, he visited the White House wearing a Make America Great Again hat, praising Trump's policies and discussing issues like prison reform and mental health. He referred to Trump as his brother, claiming they shared dragon energy, not the first, and certainly not the last of his rather goofy comments. Kanye's endorsement of Trump led to backlash from the hip-hop community, although Kanye insisted he was thinking independently and was not bound by traditional political expectations, the latter of which certainly became evident as the years went on. In 2020, Kanye announced his own presidential campaign and ran as an independent under the birthday party. His program included anti-abortion policies, supporting faith-based education, and a focus on family values. But his campaign was disorganized, and he made the ballot in only a few states. Kanye ultimately received about 60,000 votes nationwide, but some speculated whether his campaign was nothing more than a publicity stunt to harvest or divest votes away from Joe Biden. Throughout all of this, Kanye's music career flourished, and he continued releasing studio albums and collaborations prolifically. He released The Life in Pablo in 2016, Ye in 2018, Jesus is King in 2019, and the much anticipated Donda in 2021. While none of these recreated the commercial success of his 2000s albums, all were well received, going on to be rated either platinum or gold, and earning Kanye a string of more awards along the way. Moreover, Kanye had, by now, set his sights on other creative projects, including fashion. He signed a mega deal with Adidas for the design of his highly successful Yeezy brand of shoes. But that deal soon came crashing down with the first of what later became a litany of examples of incontestable hate speech. Now, before Kanye crashed the entire project in late 2022, his deal with Adidas was one of the most profitable partnerships in commercial history. Following a fallout with Nike over royalties and creative control, Kanye signed a lucrative deal with Adidas in December 2013. The deal promised Kanye full control over his designs, as well as a royalty percentage, unlike with Nike, and a platform to expand the Yeezy brand towards a billion-dollar endeavor. In 2015, Adidas and Kanye released the Yeezy Boost 750, followed by the Yeezy Boost 350, both of which became among the most sought after and influential sneakers of all time. The second generation of Yeezy 350s further solidified the brand as a major force in footwear. Yeezys became a cultural status symbol and were embraced by celebrities and the wider public worldwide. Adidas pursued a scarcity marketing approach, making the sneakers hard to come by and therefore more highly sought after, capitalizing on Kanye's significant social capital as well as the brand's resale value. By 2020, Yeezy was generating $1.7 billion annually, earning Kanye an estimated $191 million in royalties for that year alone. Yeezys soon accounted for 8% of Adidas's total sales, and Kanye's net worth skyrocketed. As projected, Forbes estimated that his Adidas deal was worth over $1.5 billion. But his erratic behavior soon went off the charts. In July 2022, Kanye accused Adidas of stealing his designs, and 2 months later, he publicly ridiculed company executives, posting a fake death notice of CEO Casper Rorsted on X. And in early October, Kanye further kicked off what would later become a disturbing pattern with another explosive tweet which read as follows: "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jews also." The phrase DEFCON 3, likely meaning DEFCON 3 as a military defense alert, was widely interpreted as a threat against Jewish people. But Kanye wasn't done. That same month, he claimed on a podcast that Jewish people control the media, and insinuated that Jews conspire to suppress certain voices. Still, in the same period, he stated in an interview with Tucker Carlson that Jewish people control finance and entertainment. Fox later revealed that more extreme statements were edited out of the interview. The backlash was immediate. On the 25th of October, Adidas terminated the Yeezy partnership, stating, "Adidas does not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech. Kanye's recent comments and actions have been unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous." With the ending of ties, the value of Yeezys plummeted as Adidas sought to liquidate around $1.3 billion worth of unsold Yeezy inventory, what was until then a highly sought after, highly exclusive product. Brands such as Balenciaga and The Gap ended their deals for the retail of Yeezys, and Adidas lost nearly $500 million in revenue. The following March, the company announced plans to sell remaining Yeezy inventory and donate part of the profits to anti-hate organizations. The terminated deal likewise caused Kanye's net worth to plummet from $2 billion to around $400 million, with the Adidas deal being his largest asset. Adidas later attempted to cut its losses by selling Yeezy stock without his branding, but sales were inconsistent. Kanye later pivoted to independent projects, launching Yeezy direct-to-consumer models under the name YZY. But his comments had started to get the better of him, and what came next shook pop culture even harder. Before the year was even out, Kanye stooped even further in his anti-Semitic diatribes with a notorious interview on InfoWars with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. In the course of the interview, Kanye praised Adolf Hitler, saying, "I see good things about Hitler. Every human being has value, especially Hitler." Further adding that, "We got to stop dissing Nazis all the time." He went on to deny the Holocaust, implying that it had been exaggerated, leading Alex Jones, renowned for his own false claims, to question whether Kanye could possibly really mean what he said. But Kanye was unrepentant, and the interviews led to deafening backlash from public figures, Jewish organizations, and the Anti-Defamation League. White supremacist groups were later known to use his words from InfoWars to float anti-Semitic banners in Los Angeles. In 2023, Kanye was reinstated on Twitter following Elon Musk's acquisition of the platform, but he was swiftly banned once more after posting a swastika inside a Star of David. And the fallout continued. Once held as a titan of the hip-hop industry, Kanye's record label, Def Jam, distanced itself from his comments. His bank, JP Morgan Chase, closed his accounts, and an autobiographical documentary he produced entitled Ye was cancelled. In 2022, Kanye had founded a sports agency, Donda Sports, which subsequently lost high-profile clients such as American football player Aaron Donald and basketball player Jaylen Brown. And throughout the controversy, Kanye remained bizarrely unapologetic. In an interview with Piers Morgan, he refused to back down, responding to Morgan's invitation to apologise with the statement, "No, absolutely not." Later in that same interview, he did offer a half apology, saying, "I'm sorry for the people I hurt, but I fought fire with fire," without expanding any further. All this was prior to his statements on the InfoWars channel in December. And after a period of relative quiet in 2023, Kanye's campaign of anti-Semitism reached new heights once more in 2024. In March 2023, Kanye appeared to cool off with his anti-Semitic rambling. In what was, by now, a classically bizarre change of tone, he claimed on Instagram to, quote, "love Jewish people again," after having watched the film 21 Jump Street starring Jewish actor Jonah Hill. Perhaps unsurprisingly, many saw this as insincere. Kanye never directly apologized for his past statements after all, but nonetheless appeared to maintain a lower profile after his blow-ups from 2022. But all that changed dramatically in early 2024. In February, Kanye drew fans to his website Yeezy.com, on which he attempted to release a single product, a t-shirt with a swastika on it. His Jewish business partner, Dov Shani, refused to produce the shirt, and the project unraveled further as Shopify shut down the site. Undeterred, later that same month, Kanye posted a picture to his Instagram of himself wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit, which he referred to as his outfit of the day. This post generated yet another furious reaction from followers, something which had long since become routine for Kanye amidst his incessant pattern of anti-Semitic comments. Meanwhile, Kanye's once great empire began to collapse further. Kanye had bought a former church property in Los Angeles in February 2023 with the intention of moving his self-founded school, Donda Academy, to the site. Donda Academy was another testament to Kanye's wackiness, with admission by invite only and with parents of students forced to sign non-disclosure agreements about its functioning, which raised concerns about transparency. Students, faculty and staff were furthermore required to adhere to the school dress code, black Balenciaga uniforms designed by West. But the academy was another casualty of Kanye's outbursts and their inglorious fallout. In October 2022, it was reported that the school had closed abruptly in the wake of Kanye's anti-Semitic tirades. By 2024, the former church property was in a neglected state and burned down in October under mysterious circumstances. It was later determined that the incident may have been the result of arson, with neighbours having long decried the decrepit state of the property. In spite of the tumbling house of cards, Kanye didn't appear too concerned. In February 2025, around the same time as his ill-fated attempt to sell swastika t-shirts, Kanye went on yet another anti-Semitic rant on X, repeating his admiration for Adolf Hitler and identifying himself as a Nazi. These statements were once again widely condemned, with organisations like the Anti-Defamation League highlighting the dangerous impact of his rhetoric. Yet more public figures, among them Jewish actor David Schwimmer, called on social media platforms to ban Kanye over his hate-filled rants. But by now, his anti-Semitic statements and epithets have become something of a feature of Kanye's musical, something which seems unlikely to change with the ominous revelations regarding his next studio album. On March 6th, 2025, Kanye revealed cryptic details about the release of his 11th studio album, Bully, taking to X to state simply, "The next album got that anti-Semitic sound. My new sound called anti-Semitic." In many ways, fans and backers must have, by now, given up hope for a change in behaviour from Kanye. Billboard later commented that it was unclear, given his tattered reputation and destroyed industry relationships, if the new album would even see support from executives. As usual, Kanye failed to issue any explanation or apology for his antics, although he did make a startling revelation during an interview in February by claiming he'd been diagnosed with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. In the meantime, the legacy of the once adored star continues to lie in tatters. Kanye's net worth has fallen significantly, and he has declined from one of the richest entertainers to the threat of financial instability and effective industry exile. Although Kanye maintains a loyal fan base and is never far from the spotlight, his influence has severely declined as mainstream brands who once queued for collaborations now refuse to work with him. Aside from the cost to his reputation, career and business empire, Kanye's persistent anti-Semitic behaviour throughout 2024 and 2025 was also held as having negatively impacted his personal life. Shortly after his most recent rants and the swastika merchandise incident, Kanye's partner, Bianca Censori, also head of architecture at Yeezy, announced that their relationship was ending. Sources suggested the pattern of behaviour, punctuated by his anti-Semitic outbursts, was a driving factor behind the separation. Some media platforms alleged that Kanye and Censori had wed in 2023, and while details remain contested, if this proved true, the collapse of the relationship could lead to further financial trouble for Kanye, as the New York Post alleged that the couple had married without signing a prenuptial agreement. It was also reported that Kanye's anti-Semitism may have put an end to the prospects of visiting Censori's family in her native Australia. The Australian Minister for Education remarked that Kanye may be denied a future visa due to his remarks. The motion was supported by various Jewish rights organisations. With his outlandish behaviour having come at a steep cost to his reputation and entire brand, Kanye may become one of the most high-profile and successful musical artists relegated to industry exile. It's been surmised by some that his increasingly bold stunts have been an attempt to offset the threat of irrelevancy as a final attempt to maintain public attention ahead of the release of his album in 2025. But with partnerships, collaborations and support declining, and with no end in sight to the ruinous behaviour displayed, who knows what's next in the unending scandals of Kanye West.